Hey, welcome to Bring on the Sabbath. Welcome to Bring on Sabbath. Good to have everyone join us out there.
Yeah.
We're missing our center person today, but
you're way over there now. All of a sudden, you're farther away than usual.
Yeah, we got a lot of space here today, but it's good to have everybody out there watching. I'm going to check on Facebook, see if we're streaming on Facebook. I think it says we are. Yes, we are.
Good. We'll share it with me. And
so if you're on there on Facebook and you're watching, please share. and if Facebook says that this is spam, tell them that's not spam. Earlier, I saw a Facebook post where someone was sharing one of I think our Armor of God web chat with Bill and Wayne about Halloween, and it was like they had a little thing saying this, that it was spam, and that they're the ones that posted and stuff. So if you get any kind of message about that, let us know, because we are not spam in any way, because we don't sell anything. Everything we give away is absolutely free. So definitely good to be here, good to be back after, I guess, a couple of weeks. I don't think we've been anywhere. We just haven't been on the air.
Right. Has it been 2 weeks? Weren't we here last week?
No, it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we had our guest from United, Victor Kubik, was here.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it seems like it was just last week.
It does seem like these days are just going by very fast.
Yes.
Very, very fast. All right. Well, we hope that you join us for our webcast of services tomorrow. We are going to have services at 11 a.m. like we always do. And our speaker tomorrow is Morris Foster. And following services shortly thereafter, we'll be having our family praise, education, and prayer service at 2 p.m. So we hope you join us for both of those. If you're in the area, come on over. We're going to be having a big get-together after PEP because we have a graduate that's leaving for college on Sunday, and we're going to give him a nice goodbye. We also have a couple of people having birthdays. One of them who's watching tonight, Amy Ho-Hertz, had a birthday
happy birthday, Amy.
Last week. She is now in our little club. We have a number club that we do every year.
Our number age club, we're in the 33-year-old club.
Yes, that's it. And we are also going to have some nachos and all sorts of fun stuff. So come on out if you're in the area. We'd love to have you. And
we definitely want people in the area to visit. Actually, I gave you, there's a piece of paper right there.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, we also have visiting ministry around that are visiting different places you may want to visit.
Okay, we have Bill Watson, who's going to be on tomorrow. He's going to be in Toledo, Ohio. And Vance Stinson will be in Shreveport, Louisiana tomorrow. And also John Reedy is up in the Columbus, Ohio area right now, and that's why he's not here tonight. And you can see him in Columbus, Ohio tomorrow speaking.
Yeah, he'll be in Columbus, Ohio, and so that's why he's not here with us this week. But he will be here next week. He'll be here next week. So next week we'll be having
Scripture Fit.
We'll have Scripture Fit will return on the 24th and on the 31st. So we're going to do Bring on Sabbath for at least 2 more weeks. I don't know if you're
3 weeks in a row.
I don't know if you're up for 4 weeks in a row or 5 weeks in a row, but I know it's kind of like it's like baby steps. You do 2 weeks in a row, and then you go for 3 weeks in a row. Because for those that don't know, we have a commitment to do at least 2 Bring on the Sabbath every month. But if we're able to do more based on the schedule, we'll do what we can to.
More is always better.
More is always better.
But it depends on manpower, and if Wesley is going to be here or if Bob's going to be here, because we have our tech crew, not just us, but our tech crew that is important to this show. So and also our viewers. But I know sometimes it's not as easy to sit down and click that button. When you have things going on, but you can always click it a little bit later because we have the replay.
You always watch the replay, but if you're out there right now, make sure you're sharing.
Yeah.
So the schedule, we're going to go for at least 3 weeks in a row, maybe longer.
Yes.
Unless something comes up, as sometimes it does. I'll be in Cleveland actually tomorrow. So I won't be in services here for Sabbath, and I'll actually, so that I could do bots tonight, I decided to catch the plane early tomorrow morning. So to and then be there in the afternoon.
I'm glad you waited.
Because we don't want to go too long without doing Bring on the Sabbath when everybody's gone.
Yeah. Well, now you need to remember that you can watch us live on our new interactive website And that's where I'm on right now. It's on cgi.churchonline.org. And it's full of great features. We have online Bibles, and you can write notes, and we can speak in tongues. We talked about that last time.
That's our.
Where it interprets different languages if you want to have conversations with people from another country.
The one thing it doesn't do yet, and I wish it would do it, would translate us into another language. Of course. If they try to do it with our technology right now, it'd probably be really bad.
Yeah, I don't think they can translate Southern to people sometimes.
They'd be like, because it would come out all wrong for us.
Oh,
they had trouble translating our Southern English into like normal English, or British English, or Australian English.
Exactly. Poor Jeff and I. We are definitely from the South.
No hiding that at all.
Well, we have so many people that are tuning in, so I can't wait to get.
And don't forget, we have our new Apple TV app and our new Roku channel as well that you can watch us on. So you can actually watch on there, and you can get on Church Online on your phone. You can still chat on the chat, because the chat works on your phone now while you're watching on Roku or Apple TV. And also Facebook Live, YouTube. That's where all our streams are located. So you can find us all over the place.
I'm telling you, these technological advances are just amazing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of ways you can keep up with the show.
Yeah.
And also, speaking of shows, I think we have a couple. I think we may be doing the last of the Philippians Bible study next week with Win, if I'm correct on this, and that's going to be at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Tuesday. I think it's going to be the last one, or next to last one. I think it's going to be the last one of these, because Philippians is a really small book. So I think we about made it through the book of Philippians with Win. So join Win for that this Tuesday, and then on Wednesday we have
Adrian.
The very last book of Hebrews Bible study. So Adrian Davis is going to be there. He told me he's going to be joined by Murray Palmetier, and they're going to be taking your comments and suggestions from Facebook, I guess the Church Online, YouTube. We like to get everybody involved in all the things that we do. So
it's going to be amazing.
So wherever you happen to be at, you can, if you have anything to ask about Hebrews, if you haven't seen it, you can go back. You can watch the replays. There's a link to it from our website. It's on our YouTube page to Hebrews. But if you're going to start watching the replays, you better start right now if you're going to get caught up for next week. There's a lot. There's a lot of those videos to watch.
Wow. Well, all of these things, we're just winding down to one of the most fantastic events of the year, and that is the Feast of Tabernacles. It's coming up soon. My husband is over here trying to tell me how many days till. I think Buddy said 44 last week.
Was it 44 last week? I looked at the calendar, and I know it's
like
5 weeks away.
It's 37 or 48.
It's the.
So Bob says 37 or 38 days.
Yeah,
and if you out there have the
24th.
answer, let us know.
But of course, we also have the Feast of Trumpets and the Day of Atonement. Those are very important too. But we want you to go and check out our website, cgi.org. So we have a Feast of Tabernacles page on cgi.org. So if you have not made your plans for Feast of Tabernacles, it's still not too late.
It might be too late, but probably not too late. I guess you can go ahead and make your plans. Because I was looking for it. No, I went to the LBL site, and this was probably a month ago, to find a cabin to stay in. They were all gone.
Wow.
So there were still some hotel rooms, and there's still some places around the area. So if you haven't made your reservations,
better hurry.
Better hurry. Better go. And again, if you live in the areas of any of our Feast of Tabernacles, you can just come from your home, come visit us. If you don't, if you've never been, you don't know, you're curious about the Church of God, and want to see what it's all about, definitely come visit one of our Feast of Tabernacles sites.
I've only been to 2 of the sites that are currently listed, and one of them was Harrison, Arkansas, which is beautiful, beautiful country up there. Yeah. And then also, of course, the Florida that we do with Common Faith.
Yes.
That's a really exciting and gigantic site.
What feast site are you going to be at this year?
We're going to be in Branson.
Branson.
Well, we normally go with an independent group up there, Providence of God Outreach Ministries.
All right, great. So, and always good to go. There's Feast of Tabernacles and all kind of places.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'll be at the one that we're doing jointly with CEM and Lamb Tuna Lakes for the first part of the feast, and then this last half or more than half will be down in St. Pete again, St. Pete, Florida. And I also will have this spot right here this Friday night. If you like bots, you might can tune in. I'll be doing a Bible study, interactive Bible study, kind of like a bots. We don't even call it bots, but we're kind of like a bots down there in Florida. We will be doing that Bible study and have everybody involved who's there.
The Friday of the feast?
The Friday of the feast, I believe.
Yeah, you said this Friday. I'm
no,
like,
not this Friday. The
What?
Friday. The
What?
Friday.
Oh,
The Friday of the feast. Okay.
I was getting confused there.
Confused about that. Not going to be there to the feast.
Okay.
All right. So I have some. You probably have some comments there. I'm going to look. I have some
working on
comments I
it.
saw here that I think is interesting. First, I have Jeff Steele says Happy Sabbath. So hello. He says it looks like a MacBook commercial. So, LOL. So I guess it does. Maybe we can get some stickers. We can put CGI stickers on there. We don't want to be promoting brands.
I got a MacBook from work, and it's a lot faster than my computer, so I decided to bring it up here just for this little time segment.
Yeah. And my dad is watching. David Reed is on there. See that? That's my dad. He says hello.
Hi, Mr. Reed.
And then Kevin O'Hare says Happy Sabbath, everyone. And then there's Amy Hohertz,
Hi, Amy, and happy birthday again.
the birthday girl. And Yvonne Robertson says hello. Rebecca
Good.
Cottingham gives us a thumbs up, like when the yellow thumbs up. And then Charles Roberts says hello and happy Sabbath. And all watching for me and my two young granddaughters here in Ames, Iowa. So Charles Roberts watching with his granddaughters. Holly says hello. Willow Love Al says happy
Holly.
Sabbath from Columbia, South Carolina. Rebecca Cottingham says I really enjoyed the Bible studies and hope they continue. Oh yeah, so we're ending those Bible studies, Hebrews and Philippians. We're going to do more Bible studies. We will definitely do more Bible studies, and we'll try to get more volunteers, people who are watching that.
Well,
And
I
then
want to say hello to all those out there too.
And Jeff says he has a MacBook also. So good. So it's a MacBook commercial for.
Okay, he was just
Making a little
he said
joke
LOL.
there.
Okay.
And Alicia Prime says Happy Sabbath from Nova Scotia.
Oh, hi, Lisa.
And Alan McCarty says Happy Sabbath from Douglas, Georgia. And John Black says Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
All right.
All right. So that's all I have. I have Carl Knock Tribe, Super Jim, Michaela Lambeth, and Amy Hohertz. Amy's she's double dipping again over here on YouTube.
I haven't seen her over here, so she's only double.
And they're all saying hello and Happy Sabbath.
Speaking of double dipping, I'm going to do some double dipping into her hot salsa that she made this weekend. It's looking good. She was posting on Facebook this week, and I was like, ooh, yum. Okay, well, over here we have Margie and RJ. We also have Skip, who's already being silly, as usual. He says, hi, everyone. Well, not everyone. That's about 7 billion people. So I'm sure he means just the people on.
So that's Skip Martin.
Yes.
And I talked to Skip Martin earlier because we're trying to get the we're going to webcast from Land Between the Lakes. We're going to webcast from St. Pete, and we're going to webcast from Myrtle Beach. And Wesley, who's back there running things, is going to take this setup to Myrtle Beach, and then we're going to have a professional setup at the other two as well. So
wow.
So we're working out the details. It's going to be good. So if you can't make it, you can watch, or maybe you can attend one feast like I did last year and watch the other feast while you're there and see what's going on. Maybe see people you might miss at other feast sites.
What a great idea. I think I'm going to do that. I hope I can. I'm going to try to double dip like Amy does. Right. We also have Rick 4 who says, greetings, brethren. We have William 1, and he says hello to everyone. And Marion, who is Sister with Love in Maryland. I think MD is for Maryland. It's little d. Are you a doctor or no? I'm kidding. I think she's from Maryland.
Yeah.
And then we have Lena, and also we have Trina B. Oh, that's Katrina Bill Casely. Trina B. At Church of God Cincy.
It's hard enough for me to type out Bill Casely, so I understand it's hard enough for her. You put a B.
Yeah, she says 5 weeks till the feast. That's what I said before service, or before we had started this. I said it's 5 weeks. I know that.
Yeah, that's why I looked at my calendar this morning. 5 weeks.
So hi Trina, hi Rita. Rita O is also on there. That's Holly's mom. Hi Rita. And my mom is probably out there watching on Roku, so I want to say hi to her. Mm-hmm. And we have Beautiful Joy is on here also, and Mimi. There's Mimi.
Hello.
And guess who's on here now? Amy Hohertz.
Yeah, I see her over here because she's saying she gave us some days here on Facebook. She says 23 days till trumpets. Mm-hmm. Well, that's okay. 32 days till atonement. Okay, you know what? Atonement is the day that we count to But when we get there, it's going to last a while. Then 37 days till the feast.
Mm-hmm.
So she's got it figured out for us right there.
Oh, well, thank you, Amy. Skip says that they're going through the prison epistles at their Sabbath services, and they're about to begin Ephesians tomorrow. Hey, that might be a good idea for when? Ephesians. That's a good one.
Possibility.
And Skip said there are more cabins in the block at LBL.
Okay, there are more cabins. Okay, so they just weren't going to give me one.
He says now there are.
Okay, they weren't going to give me one. Maybe I can call and change my reservation to get me a cabin. So
and one of these days...
So if you want one, you better hurry before I get there.
One of these days, Skip, I am going to join you at LBL. I'm trying to get there. But I'll kind of tell you a reason why a little bit later in the show as to why I'm not going to be there or at another feast site. I just needed to have one that was like within driving distance, 1 day driving distance. Not for religious reasons, just for work reasons. But okay.
All right, so that's all the comments you got there, or you got some more?
Skip also says, Jeff, remind them that we'll be streaming the Sabbath services before the feast starts at LBL. And Wynn's going to be speaking. Yes,
we will be doing that also. So your normal Sabbath service you would get from here.
Because it's on Monday. The feast starts on Monday.
Yeah,
so the Sabbath.
Normal Sabbath service you would see from Tyler, we're going to do it from there.
That's awesome.
Because we're going to keep a Sabbath service for all y'all who join us each Sabbath. It may be at a later time, but we will definitely have a Sabbath service available on that day as well. All right.
That's awesome.
I do see also here, if you're still looking over here, I see a couple people join us. Brian Good, he's Shabbat Shalom from Texas, and Joe Ferguson, I know he's from Alabama, says hello. And Willow Love, she's saying where she's going to Sevierville, Tennessee with the group she's going with, which is great.
Ooh, that's a good area. We did go there one year. We went to Pigeon Forge, and that was fun.
And so we just have people from, it looks like all over the world watching. So.
I know. It's amazing to see all of the different things. I've got to go on Facebook and share this with everyone on my site because I haven't been able to go and share.
Yes, yeah, make sure you're out there. Make sure you share.
We are certainly happy to have everyone here this evening with us.
Yep. So anything else on there, or we're going to take a break?
I think that's all. I think
all right,
we can
so
just go ahead.
We're going to take a. Well, I got one more thing.
Okay.
Okay, before we go to a break, because I do have it right here. This is the thing I kind of added at the last minute.
Oh wait, before you get into that.
Yes.
Also want to remind everyone that we are still celebrating our 40 years. Did you say that already?
I have it written down. So you got it. 40 years.
We're still celebrating our 40 years as an established church. So, yes. No.
So, I mean, I think if you can do anything for 40 years, I think it's an accomplishment. And a Church of God, 40 years, as a lot of y'all know, very big accomplishment to be around. And we're continuing with the same things we've been doing for 40 years.
Absolutely.
So very good. All right. So I want to read here. This is an obituary that I have here, and unfortunately, we had a member of our church here, and Tyler passed away this past Monday, and that was David Williams.
We knew him as David.
We knew him as David. In the obituary for Paul David Williams, because I think everybody that he lived with and knew him
in his apartment
complex. Apartment complex. So in the there. Because he had an apartment, his friends there knew him as Paul David Williams. And so this is the obituary, and it gives the basic thing. He had a couple of daughters and one son. And I think he says he worked at Indiana Gas Company for several years, and he worked as a medication aide in a nursing home and at a hospital in Lafayette. So I didn't get a lot of interesting places he had worked at. But I wanted to read these last three little paragraphs that, and again, Vance Stinson put this together, and this will be in our international news. So, but I want to read these last three paragraphs. It says that Paul David, he loved God's Word. He enjoyed reading the Scriptures and never hesitated to ask for help in understanding difficult passages. He posted John 3:13, and y'all know what John 3:13 is, right? No one has sinned to heaven. But he who came down from heaven, that is the Son of Man who is in heaven. So he had that John 3:13 posted on his front door of his apartment complex. And it was a gentle way of telling his friends that the Bible doesn't always say what they think it says. Because a lot of people, they'll post John 3:16. Right. We're like, John 3:13? What does that say? That's something I never knew the Bible says. Right. And it says, like the men and women of the faith chapter, Paul died in faith, holding this conviction that he and his wife preceded him, would see each other again when the Lord comes together to call his saints. So I just wanted to read that. I think it's a nice little sweet thing about him. And we'll miss him quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
we went last Sabbath or Sunday. Was it
last Sabbath we went to go see
Sabbath,
him.
that's right. Sabbath evening we went to go see him.
Yeah, and he only passed a couple days later. And
Yeah.
that's unfortunate.
And he just, yeah, it was sad.
All right. Well,
But-
I just wanted to read that as and you have something else?
Yes, I have another comment.
Okay.
Skip is lively tonight. He says he'll get you a cabin, Jeff.
All right. All right. Well, I've already made a reservation, so what I'll do is I'll go up there and say I want to switch this to a cabin. If they can't, I'm gonna say you need to talk to Skip. Skip said I got a cabin, and I want him a cabin now.
I can't do anything with him.
All right. So we'll see. All right. So again, also we want to actually try to get Skip here to take the spot one day.
Skip, please plan on coming down
So
to
we got to
visit
get
us.
Skip, encourage Skip out there to come
Yes.
visit us and be a part of Bots one
You
day.
can see how much fun this is.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to take a break. When we get back, you have a presentation
I do.
that relates to something that's happened this week.
Yes.
All right. So
Big stuff happening.
All right. So we will be back in just a moment.
Hi, we'd like to offer you some free literature and a CD on today's program. We want to offer you the booklet, Immortality, God's Gift to the Saints. Ladies and gentlemen, you don't have an immortal soul. You can gain immortality, but it is a gift from God. Get Immortality, God's Gift to the Saints. We also want you to get the full-length sermon CD, Enoch and Elijah by Mike James. Please, to get both these items free of charge, call toll-free 1-888-578-8791. That's 1-888-578-8791. Or you can order by visiting our website, www.cgi.org. That's www.cgi.org.
Perfect timing. Hi everyone, we're back. Jeff and I just were needing a little drink there. We got some water. Okay, well, my presentation is called Back to School. And this week I have been busy at my new school that I'm teaching at. And I'm just really excited because this year, going back to school has become really more meaningful to me, because I'm actually going to be going back to school as my kids also go back to school. And I'm going to be teaching at a charter school here in Tyler, Texas. And I'm going to be teaching 6th graders math all day long. So I have 118 students.
118.
Yeah,
Wow.
altogether. I have 7 classes, and split out over the 7 classes I have 118 students. And I have these 118 students that I have to educate, condition, protect, discipline, and love. And I'm really excited to be a teacher because teachers are brave, they're loyal and kind, and they have a million irons in the fire. And they also need support from each other. They need support from the parents of the children that they teach, and they mainly need support from God. But I know not all the teachers out there are wonderful, and I know you probably had some problem teachers. My daughters have had a handful of those teachers, and I just want to take those experiences and not become lax in my duties as a teacher. But tonight I want to remind you that I want to promote a great relationship with you or with your child's teacher. I want you to have a great relationship with your child's teacher if your child is in school or a school-age child. Now, unfortunately, sometimes the teacher has to do exactly what the policy of the school district says to do, whether it goes along with your beliefs or your ideals for your child or not. And they just have to. I mean, they're bound to go by certain rules. But luckily, I work in a district where it really aligns with my non-religious beliefs and my character. And so I have freedoms in that school that I wouldn't have in a regular public school. I have the freedom to actually discipline a child. And I don't mean like spanking or anything like that. That's not the discipline. But I know that discipline is much needed, but it's not always allowed in the public schools. And I know that I'm going to have some opposition with some of the methods that I use in my classroom from the parents, and especially if the feelings of the kids get hurt, or if the punishment seems too harsh based on their home standards, because sometimes kids aren't punished near as much as in school.
You got like paddles and stuff?
No,
paddles,
we don't
all right.
have corporal punishment.
Okay.
That's not allowed.
It's not allowed in Texas?
It's not allowed in our school.
Oh, okay.
I think there are some schools now in Texas that you can sign a waiver to allow it for your children,
Okay.
but there's not very many. They're few and far between. So, but I really think that the consequences for and discipline are great for kids, because they shape your life. They shape the lives of these kids. They build character, and they make children learn to become mature and responsible. And that's the main thing that consequences are for whenever there's like a breaking of a rule. But let's take that a step further. We have a great teacher, and we often talk about that great teacher here on this program. And he loves, conditions, protects, educates, and disciplines us. And there are way more than 118 of us. I mean, Christ has to take care of he has to think about way more than that. But because of that, we have to carefully listen to his call and read his word continuously. And if we don't, it really doesn't work. I mean, Christ will protect us, but we have to first learn how to obey so that we can protect ourselves. But Jesus Christ is so many things to us. He's our Savior, he's our friend, he's our counselor and guide, our elder brother. But in the Gospels, it says that he is our great teacher. Now, I got this at Christianity.com, and I found the statement. It says, of the 90 times that Jesus was addressed directly in the gospel, 60 of those 90, he was called teacher. And this was the word that the multitudes used. And this was how the disciples referred to him. Jesus himself used the term when he said in John 13, verse 13, he said, "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am." And when Nicodemus came to him by night, he said in John 3, verse 2, he said, "We know that you are a teacher who has come from God." So Jesus, as a teacher, also has to do what the Father says. And sometimes we, as fleshly sinners, because that's us, we don't like the rules or the guidelines that are put in place. But when we have opposition, we have it when we mostly have opposition when we're shown that what we're doing is against what God and Jesus want us to do. So the things that they want us to do are for our own good, and they help us to become mature and responsible Christians. So, after all of this, please remember to thank a teacher or pray for a teacher. If you're not in contact with one, if you are in contact with one, just thank that teacher and pray for that teacher. And also thank God and Jesus for providing you with the truth and for the love, guidance, and protection that they give to all of us, because we're their students. And while we continue to learn and become more Christ-like, that's what our job is as a student of God in Christ. And I'm also praying for all of those students who are gearing up for the school year, and I hope that they have a great year. And that's my presentation.
Okay. Yeah, you're speaking about Christ being the best teacher.
The great teacher, yes.
And I guess I think of some of the best teachers that I've had, and the best teachers that I can remember are ones who probably had a lot of participation in class. Right? They let you actually do, get there and do stuff, and actually, and allowed you to make mistakes, but you're still able to participate and do things. I think that's the way Christ teaches. He teaches through His law, of course, and His Word. But when we make those mistakes, He's there to help us do better.
I have 5 simple classroom rules, and one of my rules is participation is required.
Okay.
Because, they can't be sitting
well,
there.
You only have 5 rules?
Oh, no.
Okay.
It's just more simplistic. They're kind of, some of them are kind of large, like, like an umbrella type statement, like be prepared. That encompasses a lot of things. You have to have your homework ready. You have to bring the right books. You have to do, different things to be prepared for class. You have to get there on time. There's a lot of things that are encompassed in each rule.
Yeah, I saw a list of classroom rules as a classroom I went to, and saw it said classroom rules, and it was like no hitting, like no chewing gum, no shouting, no running.
Yeah.
I was going, well, they had some problems in that classroom.
It's hard to remember a lot of rules. Especially when you go to 8 different classes a day, like these kids in the middle school.
But in middle school, they should know show respect everyone.
Well,
and stuff like
that's
that.
my number. That's not my. That's like my highest level rule. I have one that says be respectful and kind to everyone. And if they break that rule, it's like an immediate office referral, which is like the worst consequence.
Yeah.
So they don't get a warning on that one. If it happens, they are immediately sent to the office, because that's also the principal's big pet peeve is respect for others and kindness. So I'm really excited about the school that I'm working in. I think it's going to be fabulous. I've been in teacher in service all week, and I've learned so much. I may talk about one of the things I learned next time, because it was just so intense and so eye-opening.
Is this your first year, really doing this?
This is my first year to teach in a public-type school.
Okay.
I've taught in a couple of private schools, and the measures that they take in public school are so different, because there's so many programs for different kids that are on different levels. In a private school, the way it works is the kids come in and they pretty much are on the level that they are thinking at, not necessarily based on an age.
Yeah.
So when you get a class full of kids, they may have age differences, but they are on the same thinking level, and you teach them all all at once, and it's conceptual, and you can teach concepts, and it's different, because you have to teach every child in the same age group that are on different levels in a classroom, more of a public classroom.
All right, great. And I see in the comments, I see one of my favorite teachers is watching, Rebecca Rogers from Atlanta, Georgia. She's a great teacher as well. She's been teaching for a long time. And we have Doreen Goldburn has joined us, and Doko. These foreign names really get me, so I don't want to mess it up. So I'm going to say Doko. I think that's what it is. If I messed it up, I'm sorry. Mindy Derberry says Happy Sabbath. And Neil McIver it says hello from Yellowstone National Park. What are you doing in Yellowstone, Neil?
What?
Sounds like a great place to be.
I miss that. It's so pretty up there. I have a friend that's actually up there right now, and she's been up there all summer. She's going to come back in September. Oh, Skip says that he plans to be here after the feast sometime, planning to come last of the spring holidays.
All right, wonderful. So we look forward to that.
And he's been not going around very much because his wife Diane has had back surgery, and she's been recovering, but she's fully recovered now.
All right, wonderful. All right, well, we'll take another short break.
Okay.
And when we get back, we're going to continue our study in John.
All right.
And you know
This is gonna
our
be interesting.
3 year long study in John.
Jeff said before when we were having our pizza dinner, he said he's going to batter me with questions. I was like, I'm going to get battered.
Yeah, I do have some questions because again, I like to make things interactive as well. I have some questions for her. I gave her one question in advance because I was like, if I asked her this question right off, I want her to be able to maybe answer it. So I let her know, think about it a little bit. There's a couple. There's like one I'm going to spring right off, and you'll see why when we get back.
Yeah, I researched one of them, and I'm glad I did because I found some really interesting stuff.
All right, so we're gonna talk about this. I think it's a really interesting topic. Actually, somebody actually called me up and was asking me some questions, and what they were asking me relates to what we're reading in John. So I do want to talk about that when we get back right after this message here.
Awesome.
In the early days of the church, there was a great controversy between Jewish Christians and Gentile Christians. A dividing line seemed to have been drawn between converts of Jerusalem's apostles and congregations led by Paul. We know that there was a time when Paul was upset with Peter over issues dealing with the treatment of Gentiles. Was it a situation where Paul taught that the law was done away with? Or was it a situation where Paul taught against a perverse and apostate religion that claimed to represent the teachings of the Old Testament? We would like to offer you a free booklet entitled The Book of Galatians, a Commentary. It's free. You can get it here at cgi.org. Again, the title is The Book of Galatians, a Commentary at cgi.org.
All right, we're back, and I want to thank Toko for telling me how to pronounce his name on Facebook. It is Toko. And Neil says it's going to be 39 degrees there in the morning. Yellowstone's. Whoa!
That's chilly.
That sounds like a wonderful weather.
That's cold this Texas.
Yes.
Well, I have a couple of comments from my segment, and I have one from Beautiful Jory who said, my junior high and high school teachers have helped shape my life. Teachers are important and should be prayed for. And I agree with that. My junior high math teacher is the person who got me started in wanting to teach math. And so I totally agree with that. Excuse me. And Marion, Sister with Love, says, I think the two least respected professions in this country is school teachers and nurses. Mm-hmm. And that's true.
Absolutely.
So.
All right, well, we're going to get into the topic tonight. Are you going to give another topic?
No, that's all.
Okay. All right, we're going to get into the topic now. And this topic started, the idea for this really came from, I was talking with a friend on the phone who called me up earlier this week. And he had a family member that he was, I would say, having like discussions with, but probably like, interesting discussions because they had quite a difference of opinion to him about evolution. Because I guess they believed evolution was real, and again, he's a believer, believes that God is creator, and also that they believed that Jesus wasn't even a real person, that he's just a mythological figure. So again, I talked to him, and so I tried to think of some things to tell them during the phone conversation. Like, here's some things maybe you can talk to them about in this conversation. Maybe this will help you. And so I thought about that some this week. And, those type of beliefs can cause problems, I guess, because we're in a world with so much false information. I used to talk about fake news a lot here on Bots, but I don't talk about that anymore because everybody else is talking about it. I was talking about it before everybody else because people were making fake news, and I was trying to point out different examples of that. But if I try to do that anymore, I'd be like all day because everybody. In the world, we have contradictory information put out by news media that a lot of times, and I hate to say this, journalists do not check facts anymore. And a lot of people who even when we post stuff on Facebook or things, we don't check the facts. And so there's so much misinformation on websites, news media, everywhere. So the thing is, how can we know what is real? How do we know what's real? And this can be confusing to some people, because maybe it's relative, or I have my opinion against your opinion. Because we live in a divided country where half of the country seems to think this way, and the other half seem to be that. And lately, it seems like people are going at each other quite a bit.
Yeah.
And again, we as Christians, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we stick to facts, and we try not to try to put any kind of emotion into facts, right? Emotion in opinions. I just want to believe what are facts and what are real, and not to twist facts. So I saw a poll, and so again, I always look up polls when I say, well, what is the pulse of the country? How do people think about certain things? So about 75% of people under 30, and this person that I was talking about, it was under 30, believe in evolution in our country. That's a lot. 75% of people of those under 30 believe in evolution, and that. Now, one good thing is that 90% of those same people, and also of our country in general, believe that Jesus was a real person. So it's only that 10% that doesn't believe Jesus is a real person. But here's the problem: 56%, only 50% believe that Jesus was actually God. And if you actually maybe ask them more detailed questions about what that actually means, was God equal to the Father, or was he God, and then what is his? Then it gets lower, because a lot of people don't really understand God's word. They don't read it to understand what it actually says about who Christ is and why he came and what he was here. So generally, they'll say, "Yeah, I think he was God," or a God or something like that is what they'll say. And the number, so again, half the people, like it's moving towards 50%, so it keeps going lower. Like half the people don't believe that Jesus was God in our country. And then probably around the world it differs in different places where people are watching out there and maybe know those things. So half believe, half don't. And so most people who believe don't know why they believe. So the thing is, how do we reach that 50%? And if you're like, and like talking with a family member, or maybe you have children or people, and they go to college and they tell them stuff and they come back and like, how do you explain to people who don't believe in creation or don't believe that Jesus was God? How do you prove this in a logical way? So I want to look at it logically.
Well, Bob has given me a statistic like that before, and it was about kids that go to college, like the rate that they drop off of believing in God and the beliefs that they grew up with just by going to college. It's like really high.
Do you
remember the percentage?
It's 80 or 90.
80 or 90%. It's so high.
Yeah, so a lot of times the college education will skew people against God and against Jesus. And so they believe, oh, I'm educated, so I'm just too smart to believe in these things. Well, I'm going to look at this logically. So if you're out there, and I'm doing this for, again, we're going to get into the book of John because this relates to what we're going to look at. But if you're out there, I want to give you some logical thinking steps that you can use to teach people that, these are real things. So the first one is the evidence that we see in nature. Right, the first point, evidence we see in nature, in physics, in biology, in chemistry, point to design. All right, so the evidence we see point to design. So again, now this is something I think everyone can agree on. Even evolutionists, they say, everything has a design. They believe the design comes from evolutionary processes that over time lead to things to look like they're designed or to take on design elements. But they agree, these things have design elements to it. So everybody agrees, and again, people who, like me, when I look at DNA, or we look at how, I go outside and look at the stars, or I just think about, like I look at my hair and stuff and say, like, look at that, how does it do that? So little things, like for me, I'm like, okay, there's design everywhere in how things are. Now you teach in math.
I do.
All right, so this is the question I gave to her beforehand. I wanted to think about. So what do we see in mathematics that points to the existence of a creator? So I think, like we talked about physics. So what would you say as a math teacher? something that points to the
Okay.
creator of mathematics. And she's been thinking about this, so here we go.
Well, mathematics actually exists independent of physical reality. It's all
What?
It's all theoretical.
Yes.
It really is. Physicists and mathematicians, they have used mathematical laws and concepts to discover the physical realities according to scientific methods. So, normally, the theoretical probability is formulated before the natural observation. So there's theoretical probability and then there's actual probability, which is what actually happens. And they are so different because it's an unknown, and that's why it's called theoretic. So the math laws have no physical analogies at all, and even Einstein's theory of relativity was based on theoretical mathematics. Now when we were eating our pizza, we were talking about Isaac Newton, and Isaac Newton came up with the theory of gravity. And that was through calculus. He used calculus to figure out gravity existed. But he was actually asked to help find a mathematical, just to find a way to explain the solar system, how the solar system works with mathematics. And finally, he had to say that only the will of God can be responsible for it because mathematical law is not precise enough to calculate that.
Yeah, so mathematics, and it does exist apart from what we have. Now we use mathematics to describe the universe.
Yes.
And everything we
And measure
see
it.
fits in a organized, precise manner that it's always measurable. That like when he was discovering gravity, that every single time you drop something, it drops at the exact same rate. It's not like randomized or doesn't happen in different
Based on
ways.
natural observation, what has happened, you cannot predict with mathematics what's going to happen. It's impossible.
Yeah, because there's that uncertainty principle
Right.
also in mathematics and different
It's
things.
the will of God.
It's the will of God. All right, so the first,
Like Newton said.
so the first thing we look at is there's the evidence we see, and I think everyone.
Oh, and Newton, remember what we said about him?
I think you said
About
something
not
that.
believing in the Trinity?
Yeah, I did not know that, so I'm going to look into that Newton did not believe in the Trinity. So he's very logical in the way he approached things. All right, so the first thing was we see this evidence that we see in nature, and everyone, including evolutionists and everybody, says yes, there is evidence that there is some kind of design. Everybody sees design. All right, the second thing is, now since there's design in creation, how do we know that the Creator is the God of the Bible? So we say, okay, well, there's a Creator. So how do we know that the one who created these things is the God of the Bible? So I've seen an estimate of I think like 10,000 gods that people worship throughout like time, and I don't know how many people worship now. Quite a few gods. So you say of all these different gods, and this is what an atheist will say, or a person who's skeptical, especially of Jesus, right? Because we're going to get to that. Is like, well, how do you know that Jesus and his Father are the ones who are creator? How do you know it's not just name a god? Like, there's millions of them. How it's not this tree god, somewhere that we have in India, or the rat god or whatever. They have gods, of everything around the world. Have you ever heard of the simulation hypothesis? Have you ever heard of the simulation hypothesis? All right, okay, this has been thought a lot of by atheists. It's called the simulation hypothesis. And now, are you familiar with the movie The Matrix? In the movie Matrix, I think they found out during it that everybody, and this is a spoiler, so if you haven't watched it, it's been 20 years, okay. This is a spoiler, all right. That everybody is like living in a computer program. They weren't really there, they were kind of like connected to a computer program. And so the simulation hypothesis is that they believe that we're not really living in a universe, but it's a simulation. And I guess it's kind of like I play video games. I don't know if you play video games,
Sometimes.
but I play video games occasionally. And again, you're like, what is an elder in God's church playing video games? Well, I like video games. Occasionally play some games. And my favorite type of game is what they call an open world game. So those who play, you may be familiar with what is an open world game. An open world game is where you as the character in the game can walk around this entire world and there'll be like different missions or quests or whatever you're doing. and you can walk through cities, and there's like characters you can talk to, and you can go over here. You can go do something. You can cause some mischief over here, and somebody will react to it. So in other words, there's things. It's like an entire world that they develop inside of a computer game, and it's getting really complicated. There's something I saw this today, and there's a game coming out. It's called Red Dead Redemption 2, and what this is an open world game that my grandfather probably would have loved if he would have liked video games, because he was really big in the westerns. And so in this game that they're coming out in October, it's a giant west, like open Wild West world. And you could be a gunslinger, you can go anywhere in the terrain, ride your horse around, visit a town, go play cards, go on a mission, rob a bank, whatever, like what they do in the Old West. It's like an entire open world. And the details they put into the characters and the design and the terrain, and they have like all these physics that create grass and leaves and trees. And the thing is, so we have these games like this. So what the simulation hypothesis says is that maybe someday we'll have computers powerful enough that games could simulate so real they could look like reality, things that we have here. And so how do we know?
That's scary.
Right now, again, so how do we know that we were created by a creator, and that we're not like living in someone's PlayStation 15? Right, so I guess the PlayStation 4 is what's out right now. PlayStation 15 would probably be in like 200 years or whatever. So whatever, how we know we're not living in someone's advanced computer? So how do we know this? All right, so we'll look at that. The third thing is, if there is a creator, would that creator give us proof of who he is? And I would think logically, and this is what I say to people: if there's a creator that created this universe and we see all this design, I think that creator would let us know about it. I think he would probably give us some kind of proof to let us know, because again, I don't want to be confused and worship the rat god or these other gods everywhere else or whatever they have. I want to make sure I worship the true God. So what kind of proof? So this goes to our next picture. All right, so this is another question I'm going to ask you that I didn't tell you about. All right, so this is a picture of a badger. All right, so the picture of a badger. So I want you, Lisa, if you can prove to me that badgers exist. So how would you want to prove to me right here? I'm sitting here, I don't believe in badgers. I mean, this picture, I say, oh yeah, that's a nice little thing you drew right there. It could be mythical, whatever. I don't believe in badgers.
How can I prove that it's
So
a badger?
how would you prove to me, right, what would you do to prove to me that badgers exist? What would you do if we're just like, if we're just like, I'm like we're not here, like maybe like we're sitting in church or whatever, I'm like, I don't believe in badgers. What would you do? What was something you could do to prove to me quickly that badgers exist?
I've never seen a badger in real life.
So,
Other than a picture.
So you can't use your real life experience.
So I can't use my real life experience, obviously. I've only seen them like on movies, like when they're like really mean.
Okay.
And
like the
bad.
honey badger. There's like the nasty honey badger. There's a video about that out there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So badgers are mean.
My sister is, one of her nicknames is Honey Badger.
Okay.
It's a crazy thing in our family. So anyway, okay. Jeff, have you ever seen this picture?
Yeah.
Do you know what that animal is?
Yeah. Well, I think, what's one way, could you prove it with your phone right now?
Well, yeah.
What would you do if you're going to use your phone to prove it?
I would just like Google badger and
Okay.
get pictures and things like information about habitats and where you could actually see one. I would take you to the zoo.
Yeah, okay. So here's the thing is, all right, so that's ways you would try to prove to me that badgers exist, okay?
Yeah.
Those different things, right? But
They're mean.
But what if I told you, so I don't believe in badgers, and I don't want to see your internet. Don't show me nothing from the Wikipedia. Don't show me from the encyclopedia, and I'm not going to a zoo. I'm not going to a zoo. Would that be fair for me to say, I don't believe in badgers, and I don't want to see the evidence of badgers? Does that sound reasonable? For
No.
me, the non-badger believing person.
No.
All right, it's
reasonable.
not fair. All right.
Not reasonable.
Again, so you cannot prove badgers, unless you've seen one or been to the zoo without evidence. So the thing is, and this applies to God's word. So what people try to do is they try to tell you, well, you can't prove to me that Jesus exists, but don't use the Bible. But the thing is, the Bible contains the historical documents that Christ exists. I can recommend, I have a book right here. It's called The Case for a Creator. We don't offer this book because this is a book you can buy at the bookstore or go to the library and check it out. It's called The Case for a Creator by Lee Strobel. He also has a book called The Case for Christ. I've never heard of him. I think there's a movie about it, which I need to watch on Netflix. Haven't got a chance to watch yet.
God's Not Dead too. He was actually on that movie, and he was talking about the case for Christ.
Yeah, so the Case for Christ, The Case for a Creator. He has a lot of good evidence here that will give you this. But the thing is, what we know is that the biblical books are closer to the source than any other historical document. They're written by eyewitnesses. 12, actually up to 500. There's a lot of people who are eyewitnesses, and so we have these historical documents, and they're out there, and there's plenty of copies, and they're right to the source. And you're telling me I'm not going to believe in it because you can't use that. Show me something else that shows Christ, and that makes no sense when you're not going to look at the history. So the fourth thing in the argument is we have incontrovertible evidence in the Bible that Jesus died, and that after 3 days and 3 nights he was resurrected. All right. So again, I'm not going to go into that right now. And the fact is, the New Testament is the most accurate, abundant, and closest to the source of anything, like I mentioned earlier. And so now we're going to get into John chapter 8. So I just wanted to set that up, and this kind of relates to what we're going here. Okay. So in John chapter 8, and this is after. If you remember from last time we talked about it, that Christ, he tells the woman who was caught in adultery, he says, go and sin no more. And he tells her, I'm the light of the world, which means you need me in your life so you can go and sin no more. He's saying, I'm the light, follow me. All right, so we're John chapter 8, and we're up to verse 13. So verse 13 says, the Pharisees therefore said to him, you bear witness of yourself, your witness is not true. Now, so he's saying, I'm the light of the world. And they're like, what are you talking about? You're the light of the world. You're bearing witness of yourself. And so your witness is not true. And again, like if anybody else, if Wesley back there come back and told me he's the light of the world, I'd be, what are you talking about, Wesley? You're not the light of the world. What evidence you got of that? And again, so I might agree with him if I was there. But here's what Jesus says in verse 14. He says, Jesus answered and said to them, even if I bear witness of myself, my witness is true, for I know where I came from and where I'm going. But you do not know where I come from and where I'm going. It says, you judge according to the flesh. I judge no one. Verse 16, and yet if I do judge, my judgment is true, for I'm not alone, but I'm with the Father who sent me. It is also written in your law that the testimony of 2 men is true. I am one who bears witness of myself, and the Father who sent me bears witness of me. So what does this mean? So this is answering the third thing. It's like, wouldn't the God of the universe send us evidence that he was the one that did all this? And he did. He gave us his son, Jesus Christ. And so in John, we've been seeing, as you look through the book of John, all these different signs that God did, that the people there witnessed and said, hey, nobody can walk on water or create all these things, but Jesus was doing these things. And that the Father, through this, right, nobody else can do this, was bearing witness. And the final proof is, and we haven't got there in John, and I don't want to skip ahead, but the final proof is that Christ, as alluded to, throughout the book, would be resurrected. And I gave a sermon in Manila a couple years ago at this time of day. The time of day, it was like early in the morning there. It was in Manila. It was called Proof of the Resurrection. So you can search for that on our website, and I'll go into the details of all the proof of the resurrection. But I'm not going to get into that right now. But I recommend that if you're really interested to have the evidence, because the evidence is overwhelming of the proof of the resurrection. All right, so continue reading. Verse 19 says, then he said to him, where's your father? And Jesus answered, you know neither me nor my Father. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. These words Jesus spoke in the treasury as he taught in the temple, and no one lays hands on him, for his hour had not yet come. His witness was true, right? And the Father backed it up. He's saying even if it's not it was true, and he had this evidence, and he proved it by that resurrection. So who else in history who has performed signs like Jesus? Anybody? You can think of any historical figure who ever walked on water. Anybody out there in the comments? Anybody out there? Anybody? No, there's nobody going to tell me that anybody knew anybody who walked on water, or someone who fed the multitude, can take like a little bit of fish and bread, and then feed 15,000 or how many thousands of people were there, all the thousand. Mm-hmm. Tell me, show me. Well, that's happened. Well, we have historical documents about a historical figure feeding thousands of people. There's no one. What other religious teacher was resurrected? And he was beaten to death. He was in the grave 3 days and 3 nights. And that's kind of, and the reason why that long is to confirm that he was dead. And he was dead as anybody is dead. And 3 days and 3 nights later, he walked out. He walked out. And they saw it. And they witnessed it. And their lives were changed by it. So the evidence, again, you can share this evidence with your friends. Right, these are logical steps. Your coworkers, your family, about the resurrected Christ, and the same resurrected Christ wants you to repent and to follow Him. Really simple: keeping His commandments, living your life, changing to be like Him. Mm-hmm. This evidence not only does now when you get this as a starting point, if I can accept the evidence of the historical documents of God's Word. That means that everything from Genesis to Revelation has to be true, right? Christ referred to it. It has to be true, and it's proven. So my simple argument to non-believers, or actually, I didn't want to call them history deniers, right? These people are history deniers. A lot of people try to say you deny this or you deny that by your beliefs, but you are denying actual written history when you deny that Jesus was resurrected. And that means, I understand why people may want to deny it and try to put it behind them, because this means if He is God and everything points to it overwhelmingly, that means I got to do something. I have to change my life and have to start living like He wants me to, or I can face the other consequences. Again, so again, here's the steps: the evidence of nature, biology, mathematics, chemistry, design. We all agree on that. And so how do we know that the Creator is the Creator of the Bible? Would He give us proof? Yes, He gave us proof. He gave it to the world, and it's proof that you cannot deny in those things. So again, I can give my witness. Lisa, you can give your witness. Right. Someone mentioned this to me. I don't know if it was you or Bob or Wesley or someone out there on the chat. I can't remember who said this. And maybe you remember somebody said this. They told me that every time in our life, sometimes once in our life, we'll have our road to Damascus moment. I don't know who said this or where I heard this, but we'll have our road to Damascus moment. Maybe I saw on television, but I'm sorry, I can't remember who told me that, but I do remember what you said. That sometime in our life we'll have our road to Damascus moment. That moment when we're like, oh yeah, all right. Our mind is open to God's Word and to the truth that God is Creator, that His Son did die for me, that He does have a plan for me, and He wants so much more from me, and that I got to do something, just like Paul did something. Mm-hmm. So that's the moment when God opens our eyes to the truth. So I think everyone will have that. Maybe you may not have it now. You may have it after the second resurrection. Again, that's another topic. People out there don't know what I'm talking about. We have to talk about that later. Again, that's just a few comments I have regarding just a few verses there in chapter 8 to answer my friend's question he gave me. All right.
Very good.
So do we have any more comments?
No,
I do read one from Katrina Bill Casely. Says The Case for Christ is an excellent movie, so I'll take your word for it. So I will definitely check that movie out when I get a chance. Put it in my queue.
Yeah.
And I think that's all we have right now.
Well, Skip said he was going to show you a Wisconsin Badger football helmet.
All right,
to
so
proof of a badger.
yeah, so yeah.
And
So I think,
Carl would like to know. You can contact Carl later, but he'd like to know which games you play.
which games to play? Is that Carl Not Tribe or
Yeah,
he's a computer guy?
He wants to know which games you play.
Well, I do. I can tell one game I really like. I like The Legend of Zelda. I like those kind of open world type games. But
Oh, Skip wrote about his road to Damascus moment.
oh, really?
He
So
said
what
it
is
was
that?
He said it was in 1974 when he learned that Jesus Christ was the God of the Old Testament and was the creator of all things.
Yeah, so there's something, and maybe your moment hasn't happened yet. Maybe it already has happened. And what we want to do here as a Sabbath keeping community, hopefully, if you're watching Bring on the Sabbath, and the Sabbath just began for us 1 minute ago at 8:04. It's now 8:05 here. So Sabbath just began. If you're doing this, you want to be able to tell people what God has done for you and share those things so God can use you in what He's doing to reach others. I think can work out. Any other comments you have over there?
Well, earlier Skip was saying some stuff about Paul. He said Paul dealt with the Gnostic heretics in Colossae, and among other things, there were ascetics and those who believed in abusing the body. One of the things that they believed was that Jesus Christ was a demiurge, or a minor god. A minor god.
Like a demigod.
Yeah,
something.
demigod.
Yeah.
And that he could not have been God and certainly could not have been the creator. Even many traditional Christians don't believe Jesus Christ was the creator. And it takes more faith to believe in evolution than it does to believe in the creator God. Where did the stuff come from that became the universe?
Yeah, again, about that, the simulation hypothesis, that's a bunch of garbage. I don't believe in that. I'm just saying that's that's what people are trying to use to try to say there's not a creator, because there's so much evidence of a design. They're like, there must be some nerd somewhere in his computer in the future. He's like typing out the code for all our being and stuff. It makes no sense. This is crazy. Crazy stuff. All right, Linda Satarski says her lifeguard walked on water. I'm going to ask her what she means by that at some point. I want to make the comment.
Wow.
All right.
I hope you're doing better, Linda. I know Linda had a procedure done this week, so.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you watching, Linda.
Yeah. We were thinking of you.
All right. Well, if we don't have any more comments,
no,
we will go to our final break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Hi, we'd like to offer you 2 booklets on today's program. We want to offer you, Is Jesus Really God? There's a lot of controversy about who and what Jesus was. We also want to offer you, What is God? Of all the theological questions that evoke controversy in the ancient church, the question of who and what God was one of the major questions. It's even a major question today. You can order by visiting our website, www.cgi.org. That's www.cgi.org.
All right, we're back, and so we're through the slides, but Bob had something he wanted to add to the discussion as well.
Just quickly, after we go off the air here, read Romans chapter 1, especially the latter part of it, because it gives a description of how God looks at humans, and that it's incumbent on us to believe in Him. Mm-hmm. And there's no excuse not to believe in Him. So please read chapter 1 of Romans, the latter part especially.
All right, so yeah, definitely, that's definitely a good thing to look at, because there is no excuse. And that's what we're trying to say. The things I just said, these are obvious things. And so we're just trying to reach out, because there's so many people out there I guess it's because they want to live in sin. They want to be disobedient to God. They don't want to change their life, or they're so discouraged by life. A lot of people get discouraged. And a lot of people are depressed, and they don't want to change. But God can help you with all that. It's just accepting these first steps. All right. So.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Well, have a good night, and may God bless your Sabbath.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great Sabbath.
Our free material is provided by the generous support of our church members and additional independent donors who believe in our mission of preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the world.